So as I get to my point here, this article which you see here, Spaceship of Fools, came out hours before the UFO hearing. And this is important because a lot of people in that room were exposed in this article, Spaceship of Fools. And many of them had this article. And it's like they pretend that this whole thing has not happened. That while they are sitting in a room helping lie and deceive the American people in the world, there is an article that many of them have copies of which shows that they're liars and deceivers. And what they're doing now is even worse because they know they have been exposed. And Congressman Tim Burchett, there was an ethics complaint against him and others. These are all being published. They came out hours before they started being filed. More are being filed now because of this hearing. Yes, this is all real. This is all happening. If your media that you trust isn't telling you the story, you need to ask them why, because this is happening now. And if this is the only place where you can find out what's going on, then you need to ask them what the problem is. Why are they in denial? Hello, welcome to another episode of UFOlitics Sasa City. My name is Testiclese and I am your host. Remember, my name is Testiclese because I test people. I am the great descendant of the mighty Testiclese, and he is the inventor of the world's first original test. Yes, a lot of historians don't even know that. So, from this pedigree, I am the host of this show, and welcome to another episode. So, let's get started. We have two very special guests. The first guest is making his first public debut outside Sasa City, which of course exists in cyberspace. His name is Tim Burchett. Yes, his name is Tim Burchett. This is him right here. And as you can see, he is an avatar that tells you the truth and things that Congressman, Republican, extremist, radical, Bible thumper, believer, alien, ancient aliens, Ezekiel, fallen angel, baby Razo believer, Tim Burchett. In Tennessee, what he believes. Yeah, we're going to get very familiar with Tim Burchett. So, the job of Tim Burchett is to tell you what Tim Burchett won't. He's not telling you the truth, and you need to know the truth, especially when Burchett is on oversight and he has ethics complaints against him now, and we will go into all of this in this episode and more. So, our first guest again is Tim Burchett, and he will tell you things that Tim Burchett won't, and you can ask Burchett why. What is his problem? We all want to know. Our second guest, you know him. He is Kal Korff. He is the president of UFOlitics, the company. And UFOlitics is a very real company. It's one of its kind. And it has a simple mission. It exposes UFOlitics. It exposes corrupt politicians who play UFOlitics like Tim Burchett. Okay? And it also exposes UFO and fraud in the paranormal techno scammers. Yes. Now, I am here because Tim Burchett's office told investigative journalist Kal Korff and UFOlitics President Kal Korff that they would not speak to him because he wasn't a constituent. Can you believe that, folks? Wow. That is illegal. There is nothing in the Constitution that says a congressman cannot speak to somebody because they're not in their district. So when we reported this, and now this is yet another ethics complaint, and we're going to escalate it until it is addressed, my role is to come forth and engage Tim Burchett's office. So here is the dynamic. And if Tim Burchett's office refuses to accept this, I just got a message. See, it's already happened. People are so excited. I'm getting messages before I even finish my sentences here. Okay, that's amazing. Anyway, back to my point. My name, again, me, Tim Bullchett. I will engage the office of Tim Burchett. And if he says, I won't engage you because you're not a constituent. In other words, he tells me and blows me off like he did Kal Korff, where he said, no, we won't talk to you because you're not a constituent, which is illegal, but Burchett's in the Ethics and Oversight Committee, right? So, of course, he's entitled to break the ethics and the laws, right? No. But anyway, so what we're doing is setting up an office in his district, right up the street. So we are constituents very shortly, and we will engage, and he will not duck the Roswell issue, because we are confident that Tim Bullchett and Tim Burchett, as extremist as Burchett is, he wants the truth. And the truth about Roswell is that Project Mogul caused it. Any other claim is a lie. In fact, it is libel, slander, and defamation, with deliberate malicious intent against, at the very least, the last original Roswell researcher, which is Kal Korff. He wrote the best-selling expose book called The Roswell UFO Crash. What they don't want you to know. The they are the UFO nutjobs and conspiracy liars and deceivers. The people that Tim Burchett, Congressman Tim Burchett, puts on the American people as he continues to lie to you and deceive you and manipulate and push a pro-Bible, pro-UFO, pro-Cosmic Watergate, pro-Roswell, pro-you name it. It's just not the truth. Conspiracy delusion that he's doing. What happens is it means you've been misbehaving. So we're here to, fix things. In my case, we have a rogue congressman. He's a radical and an extremist. He's a Republican, of course, naturally. Let's be clear, there are extremists in both parties. There are extremists in the Democrats. There are extremists in the Republicans. And when you see a figure who looks like this, with this, let's call it the mop on the top of the head here, and it just goes to the right and just hangs here, this means that we're just extremists. It's just a question of what cause. Well, cause is we are extremists over. In the case of Tennessee Congressman, Republican Tim Burchett, I want you to be clear on his name because he's going to be even more famous now because of what he's doing. Well, he believes in aliens. Okay, that's fine. I understand that. An intelligent man knows that we cannot be the only life in the universe. There's too many damn stars out there and planets. And Tim Burchett, he thinks it all happened in 6,000 years. Yes, God was super quick. Yep, just boom, there it was. So, here we go. Here we have an extremist who believes that the Earth is 6,000 years old, that the universe was created in 6,000 years, and that UFOs represent fallen angels. It's written in the book of Ezekiel. Yes, in the Bible. Now, that's news to Jews, but we won't go there. Let's not get scientific and technical. This is, after all, an extremist we're talking about. Again, Congressman Tim Burchett. I want you to be clear on his name, ladies and gentlemen, because I especially want the voters in Tennessee to know what a nut job this guy is and who their tax dollars are supporting. Do you really want a politician who believes that the Earth is 6,000 years old? And if he doesn't believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old, which it is not, please, Congressman Burchett, tell the American people, especially your constituents, how old you think the Earth really is. Give us a number and stick to it. You can even add a day. We don't care. But tell us. Don't hide behind your extremism, because you should be proud of it. You are proud of it. That's why you wave it proud when you talk about these UFO hearings and the Roswell UFO crash. And speaking of that, I want you to know that Congressman Burchett, he believes that Roswell was the secret crash and recovery of an extraterrestrial spacecraft. One of them fallen angels, I guess, from Ezekiel. You have to ask him. He's got all the answers. Yeah, that's why he puts frauds on his UFO hearings. Yeah, he does. He actually puts frauds, people who are not telling you the truth. And speaking of not telling you things, I am here to tell you, because you can see it right here, folks, you can download it, that Congressman Tim Burchett has ethics complaints against him. In fact, hours after the ethics complaints were filed, his office failed to tell his constituents and anybody that he was pulled from being the chair of these hearings within hours after these ethics complaints were filed. To answer your question, what do I think of the most recent UFO hearings that Congress had? To me, they're the worst. I have never seen this level of dishonesty, lies, and deception that I saw displayed by Congress on the subject of UFOs until I saw the hearings. And this is why. There is an article that came out hours before the hearing called Spaceship of Fools. And it is written by top Washington, D.C. based investigative journalist and author Mr. Art Levine. Art Levine spent 20 months essentially embedded undercover with access to data that was part of what is called Operation Pandora's Box. Operation Pandora's Box is something that started actually years ago as part of the Secret X-Wars thesis and project that I did starting in 1999. That's when the actual project began, when I left the United States and went to Europe. And I now have this thesis, which consists of 6 books, about 24 to 2,500 pages, depending on how you number them, and of course another whole volume just on the references alone. And what it does is it goes into the history and the patterns and the predictabilities and the behavior and misbehavior based on real data, real experiments that were done over the years online with UFO extremists and radicals. It talks about the hunt for terrorists and fighting terrorism itself, and you might say, well, what does that have to do with anything? It has everything to do with it. Because as I have argued for years, this is going back to the 90s publicly, that there is no difference between a member of Al-Qaeda or Hamas, it was Hamas back then, who wants to kill you just because you don't believe in their whatever, versus a Bigfoot nut who also wants to harm you or kill you because you don't believe in Bigfoot. And you might say, well, funny, ha ha ha. No, it's very real. Because there are people out there who believe in stupid shit for whatever reason. And their willingness and drive to believe in stupid shit based on whether they think God is commanding them to do something or whatever they think is going on, you'd have to ask each individual. Each individual, of course, is different, unique. No two people are the same. So there's no single uniform answer here. But what's going on is this drive from within people to want to harm others because they don't believe the same thing. That is the epitome of intolerance, where you want to hurt somebody because they have a different point of view. And if the irony of these UFO disclosure nuts is that they claim they want the truth. I'm all for the truth. I want us to get to the bottom of the UFO issue as well. But I'm very aware that the U.S. government is deliberately misusing and using what's called guiding hands in vernacular to steer this subject in ways that allow it to get away with stuff and hide stuff from the public, okay, for many reasons. But I'm concerned about the fraud, okay? I'm concerned when the taxpayers are funding hunts for things that are hoaxes. Why should we spend money on hoaxes except to expose them, to help protect people from being ripped off by people who are lying to you and selling you fake UFO photos, claiming they're real, like the Billy Meyer UFO case and hoax and fraud that Mikey Horn and the Billy Meyer UFO cult pulls off for decades now. It's consumer fraud, it's mail fraud, it's wire fraud, it's a lot of crimes that one can easily prove if one bothers. And then you have other people like Roswell, History Channel, Disney, pushing an agenda because they own the rights to this stuff. They make money from it. You've got frauds like Nick Pope, who are out there saying, I was the director of the British government's Ministry of Defense UFO program. No, Nick Pope never was. There was no such program. It wasn't Nick Pope. He is exposed in the article, Spaceship of Fools. So this stuff needs to come out. It needs to stop. And it stops by going to the district where the crimes are being committed, in this case, Burchett's district, becoming a peer, becoming a constituent, so that by his own bullshit or Burchett criteria, okay, he has to deal with this. And we're going to make sure that people know the truth about what he's doing. And if he still wants to lie and deceive people about Roswell, at least the public will know, and they can decide this when they're going to vote for him. Because it's up to us to get the truth out. And what people decide to do with the data, that's their business. All we can do is get it out. That's it. That's our obligation, and we're meeting it. And this is what we see going on today. We have a group of people who are committed to an ideology that is radical and extremist, conspiracy-driven, UFO grays-driven, lizard people-driven. Name your delusion, they can rattle it off for you. And of course, this stuff isn't true. And then you have Congress and the Senate who are either clueless because they're going along with this, or they're so cynical and calculating and incompetent. A lot of things, nothing positive. Where they know better, but hey, it's votes. Because conspiracy people vote. Even if they vote for the wrong candidate or they believe in the wrong stuff, they still vote. They work social media today because that's what people use. Years ago, they used to go door to door, or they would do mass mailings. Now it's email, it's social media. Everybody's a podcaster. That's the way people roll today. Same thing. You have people working the channels. They're extremists, they're radicals. They go, oh, I'll vote for him because he believes in UFO disclosure. Never mind the fact that he wants to take away your choice on healthcare. We'll just ignore that because it matters that we learn about finding the Roswell evidence again, which doesn't exist, and we won't find it again, but hey, we'll just keep looking. See, this is the vicious cycle that goes on. I can go on and describe the cycle, and it will never end because it doesn't end. It will never end until somebody says, stop, enough. We're done. And if you go there, we're done. You're not going to have an audience. You're not going to get any funding. So shut up. Leave us alone. And if you continue, we're just going to consider it harassment because that's what it is at some point. You know, how many more times do we have to study and investigate what happened at Roswell? It's already been done a few times. The conclusions are verifiable. They're rock solid. It was Project Mogul. There was no alien extraterrestrial spacecraft. The government did not reorganize, it did not reinvent itself after Roswell in response to any UFO crash because it never happened. And if it did happen, cause and effect, hello, this stuff would have taken place. There would have been a fundamental, traceable, especially after all these decades, rework of the U.S. government in response to the alien threat. And that is not what happened because Roswell itself did not happen the way that these extremists claim. And I know because I am the last original Roswell researcher. Nobody else can make that claim unless they're lying. I am the only guy literally in history left as the last original Roswell researcher. There were only 4, and I'm it. You know? So, I have a view of this that nobody else does have or can have, and I speak with an authority on it that nobody else has or can have because they weren't there, they weren't involved, they didn't work with the father of Roswell, which was nuclear physicist Stanton Friedman, and I did. I worked very close with him for years. I was in fact his first chief archivist, and I was his go-to guy for top UFO cases. And I write about this and I expose all of this in the 24-book series called UFOlogy, which represents 50 years worth of work in this subject, and each one meets one or more criteria. Real quickly, each book solves a case, period. That's it. You can verify anything by using the QR codes. Just scan them that appear in the book. Then what are you going to do? Argue with it? Well, you can. But it'll be clear that you're a liar or a denier at this point. Because all you have to do is just bother, key word here folks, key concept, bother to scan the QR codes. You scan them, you get the truth. And the greatest thing about facts is that anybody can verify the truth. They just have to bother. We make it easy. Scan the QR code. That's all you have to do. Bother to scan it. Second thing, if we're not doing original research, we finish research left incomplete by others. That's it. Incomplete research is wasted research. That's my view. Always has been. Third thing, we look at existing issues, problems, whatever you want to call it, try to find solutions, move on. Those are the three things each of these books accomplishes. These are the things that I've devoted my life and existence to, and now 50 years worth of work on this subject. And I started this on October 19th, 1973, and now you're seeing all this stuff come full circle because it's never been more vital. It's never been more valid and vital today because we have record numbers of people who believe, despite the wonders of the internet and all this access to data out there and more facts than they've ever had in history, and yet record numbers of people, considering the amount of facts out there, believe in stupid shit to the point where societies are now in jeopardy. That if they don't clamp down on these extremists, the cycle's going to be lie to the people, raise money off that lie, then use that money to fight the system, the real justice and the way America should be, so that they can change it for the worse or in their own image or whatever. Give them more power. Take away the checks and balances. Prevent America from becoming an ideal America. America must be an ideal America. What we say we stand for, we the people, not we the people and corporations too, which is what our beloved Supreme Court ruled because, I'm sorry, I believe they're corrupted. That's my view. That's another speech entirely. So, back to the point of all this. The hearings are a dangerous warning sign. It actually is a declaration of war against the United States, what it ideally stands for, and what we ideally must continue to strive to be. America is a work in progress. To be honest, for being around 240, heading towards 250 years, we don't really have enough to show for it the way we should. We must do better, we must do more, we must do it faster. And we're out of grace, whether it's God's grace or just cause and effect basic physics 101. We're done unless we change in this century. And as I've been writing for years, and I started this in the 90s when I saw millennial madness just damage our culture enough and kill enough people to say, hey, we need to really take this seriously. And of course, in the Middle East and in extreme examples, you have terrorism. In the worst examples, you have Islamofascism. In bad examples, you have dictators, totalitarianism. What is missing is simple: a universal code of human conduct. Until there is one that is ruthlessly enforced, there will always be wars. I repeat, it's this fucking simple. Until there is a universal moral code of human conduct, ruthlessly enforced by the powers that claim they believe in this stuff and stand for whatever, until that day happens, it's not going to work. There's going to be more wars, more dictators, more people who seize countries because it used to belong to them 10,000 years ago or whatever. Doesn't matter, the principle's wrong. But until a universal moral standard of human conduct is agreed upon and ruthlessly enforced, because the real price of freedom is eternal vigilance. That's always been true. It's never not going to be true. So what are we waiting for? Another couple of million years to go by while millions of more billions die? Really? What are we waiting for? You can't answer this question because the answer is not a fucking thing. We're just waiting for no valid reason. You can't come up with an excuse because there isn't one. And change begins one person at a time, we know that. And when more than one person changes at a time, quickly, or in large numbers, shit happens for the better. We just have to bother. So with these hearings, the following are being done. Congressman Tim Burchett told me, on the phone, his office told me, that they wouldn't talk to me because I'm not a constituent. They have forgotten who they serve, which is all Americans. Yes, they have constituents, but they have no legal or constitutional right, no moral right, if they believe in America, to blow off a fellow American, especially when that person is the last original Roswell researcher and he has data that is meant to help Congressman Burchett. But see, Congressman Burchett is not after the truth. He's after manipulating you and lying to you and making you believe in the delusional shit that he does. And let me break down what he believes in. He believes that the Earth is about 6,000 years old. Let that sink in. He's your congressman. Does this represent your belief? Do most people in his district, the only ones he apparently talks to, do they believe the Earth is around 6,000 years old? Really? We need to rethink the schools. I doubt it. In fact, I know better. So why the hell did you elect anybody who thinks the Earth is only 6,000 years old? Another example. Ask him about UFOs. Ask Burchett about UFOs. He will tell you. The interviews are out there on YouTube. He can't lie and deny them. That it's written in the Bible, the book of Ezekiel. See, he's got it all figured out. That the aliens have been here for thousands or millions of years. Yeah, he's got it all figured out. Ask him to break it down in more detail. Go for it, big boy. Again, why are you electing or supporting a congressman who believes that aliens are here and they're fallen angels from the book of Ezekiel and the Earth is thousands of years old? Because someone can't read the Bible properly. And I got news for anybody who thinks that aliens are in the book of Ezekiel. That's news to Jews who would know better their Old Testament, and this is Old Testament stuff, but we won't go there. That's real science and real history matters, but not when you're an extremist like Burchett. Okay? Now ask him about Roswell. Ask Burchett about Roswell and Project Mogul. Ask him to give you all the evidence that disproves that Roswell was caused by Project Mogul. You will find that he can't do it. Instead, he does what's called the pointy trick. He just points to someone else's claim and says, that's the truth. And it's bullshit. He'll point to Kevin Randle's work on Roswell, the Roswell UFO stuff he's done. He's written many books. He won't tell you that Kevin Randle has a fake PhD. Yeah, I know because I exposed that. I was the first one to do it. Yeah, his publisher still lied to you like Flying Disc Press, Philip Mantle. When they say Dr. Kevin Randle has a PhD in psychology, no he doesn't. It's a fake PhD. Just ask Tim Burchett. If he doesn't know this, shame on him. If he does, double shame on him. But confront him. Bother. Okay? Anyway, so he'll point to other work by Don Schmitt. Well, he won't tell you that Don Schmitt talks to dead people or he makes up stuff. Ask Tim Burchett about the imaginary Catholic Roswell witnesses who were nuns, who wrote it down in their diaries according to Kevin Randle and Don Schmitt. Ask him about them, because these nuns do not exist. They never have. They never will. And I said this in my own book, The Roswell UFO Crash, What They Don't Want You to Know, which exposes the top 100 Roswell UFO Crash books. Yes, the number has managed to get that high, folks. And I wrote this book in 1996 and 1997, and I updated it in the year 2000. It has gone through multiple printings, and it remains today the best-selling Roswell expose of all time. And what they don't want you to know, are the UFO frauds, schemers, plotters, people who deceive you about Roswell. They're all exposed in this book. And now I get to update it later and in these videos and add Tim Burchett to this list because he needs to be exposed. He is lying to you. He is deceiving you. And there's only two possibilities. Either he really believes this delusional shit, which means he needs to be recalled. He needs some serious drugs or medical help. I'm sorry. When you believe in snipe hunting and that snipes are real, when you believe in a cosmic Watergate that does not exist, and all of a sudden your testimony changes when you're put under oath or penalty of perjury, and you get yanked from being the chair of a committee that you're supposed to blow this all open with, it's not a conspiracy. It is the beginning, we hope, of a rightful correction to straighten this guy's ass out and expose him for the fraud that he is, and stop the waste and abuse of taxpayer time and money.